What happens with the wristband malfunction? I don't even know if you're aware of the story or not, but yesterday in the beginning part of the game, the broadcast came on and they told us essentially that Shedeur had the wrong play sheet in his wristband, and then they got that corrected and they got that fixed, and then they were off to the races essentially. How does something like that even happen, though? Like, who's to blame for something like that?
I don't know the answer for who's to blame. Obviously, it wouldn't be a fun situation if they're giving you plays and you're calling plays that I don't know what from last week's game plan or last week's wristband. I don't know what that is. So, I don't know how that happens. But again, mistakes happen all the time, and we've seen those things happen numerous times. But yeah, that's a pretty crazy situation that they haven't, because a lot of times you have guys that do that part of it, and then they put in the wristband and they go verify it with the call sheet and crossing T's and dotting I's in that situation. So I don't know who was responsible for that in that situation, but yeah.
NFL legend Kurt Warner destroys Kevin Stefanski after Shedeur Sanders' wristband scandal, and what he revealed will make you question everything about how the Browns are handling their rookie quarterback. "I don't know how that happens," Warner said, barely containing his frustration when asked about the malfunction that left Shedeur with the wrong play sheet in his wristband at the start of yesterday's game. But here's where it gets wild. Warner didn't stop there. He completely flipped the script on who's really to blame when a team checks out on the season. "I have never put the blame of me not showing up on somebody else," Warner declared, calling out the entire coaching staff culture in Cleveland. And when you dig into what actually went down with Shedeur's wristband disaster, the drops from his receivers, the offensive line falling apart with 4 guys being second or third tier replacements, and the defense giving up before halftime, you start to realize this wasn't just a bad game. This was a complete organizational failure, and Kurt Warner just put Kevin Stefanski and the entire Browns coaching staff on blast for setting up their rookie quarterback to fail. The question is anyone actually protecting Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland? Look, let me start by saying this. Kurt Warner is one of the most respected voices in football. The man went from bagging groceries to winning Super Bowls. He knows what it takes to succeed as a quarterback in this league. He's been through the struggles, the adversity, the chaos. So when Kurt Warner speaks, people listen. And yesterday, when he got asked about the Browns getting absolutely demolished and whether the team had checked out on the season, Warner dropped some serious truth bombs that Kevin Stefanski and the entire Browns organization need to hear. "I don't know if you can put it on any one person," Warner started. "To me, it's collective, or to me, it's individual." Now, here's where Warner gets real. He talks about his playing days and how he approached accountability. "I said when I was playing, whether I played well or not, there was no one else to point the finger at. I mean, I didn't point it at a coach to say, oh, he didn't get me motivated. He didn't get me ready to play. That was on me. When you become a pro and it's your job and it's what you do, you get yourself ready to go. And regardless of what goes on around you, you step on the football field and you play." Now, this is where it gets interesting, because Warner is basically saying that players need to take ownership. But then he adds this little caveat that's huge for what we're about to talk about with Shedeur. Obviously, if you go through a week and you don't feel like your coaches are getting you prepared, like from a game plan standpoint or putting you in position, like that's one thing. Hold up, did you catch that? Warner just opened the door to blame the coaching staff when they're not doing their job, and that's exactly what happened with Shedeur yesterday. If you've got a group of guys that, again, I'm not saying that's what Cleveland did, you guys are saying that might have been what Cleveland did. If that's the case, then you gotta go home and look in the mirror, and if you're a leader, you gotta hold your guys accountable. But here's the thing, when the leaders aren't leading, when the coaches aren't coaching, when the organization isn't organizing, how can you expect a rookie quarterback to succeed? Let's talk about what actually went down with Shedeur Sanders yesterday. The Browns got blown out, absolutely demolished, and a lot of people immediately started pointing fingers at Shedeur, saying he took a step back from his solid performance the week before against Tennessee. Kurt Warner even said it himself. "I thought in the first few games he was getting better and better every week, with the culmination being a week ago. I thought he played a pretty solid football game, and then he didn't play as well this weekend, or yesterday. I felt like he played really tentative, didn't play confident in terms of dropping back and knowing where eyes and feet should be, and getting back and hitting that back foot and getting the ball out of his hands. Okay, so on the surface, it sounds like Warner is criticizing Shedeur, right? He's saying the kid looked tentative, not confident, took a step back. But hold on. Let me tell you what Warner said next, because this is where the entire narrative flips. But again, I mean, it's the same with all young guys. When you're in your first year, everything is not just going to be continually a gradual incline to the top of the mountain. You have bumps in the road. You have games that are more of a struggle, times when you don't see it as well as you're growing and building an offense around guys. Warner is basically saying, hey, this is normal for a rookie. This is part of the development process. But then Warner gets asked about the environment around Shedeur, and this is where Kurt Warner absolutely destroys Kevin Stefanski and the entire Browns coaching staff.
Right here, as well as you can after that kind of loss. I will say, you're going to have a big part in show history, Kurt, whether you realize it or not. My partner and I had a burger bet on who was going to win this division. I will say, you're going to have a big part in show history, Kurt, whether you realize it or not. My partner and I had a burger bet on who was going to win this division about 5-6 weeks ago between the Ravens and Steelers, so I could really use a Steelers win tonight if you want to pass that along to the Steelers.
All right, I will do my best when I'm out there. I'm not going to be out there very long, though, because it's cold. So I'll try to sell it the best I can.
Look at that. That's a team player. This is why you are one of the true greats in NFL history. I guess we'll start here. I feel like
the interviewer asks, when we talk about fostering the right environment around a rookie quarterback, yesterday the offensive line was maybe 4 out of the 5 guys were either second or third tier replacements. We got drops. We got some defensive miscues. Their average starting field position was like the 15-yard line. What do you need around a rookie quarterback or going into a second-year quarterback to give Shedeur the best chance to succeed? And Warner's response is brutal for the Browns organization. Well, I mean, I think they've got some good young guys. They've got a good defense that hasn't necessarily shown up every game. But, every time out, you're looking to build a team that can give you multiple ways to win, specifically when you have a young quarterback. Here's the key part. You don't want to have a team where it's like, okay, all we can do offensively is throw the football to win, or all we can do as a team is the young quarterback's got to carry us week in and week out. That's what you try to avoid. Warner is saying the Browns are doing exactly what you're not supposed to do with a rookie quarterback. They're putting everything on Shedeur's shoulders. I think they continually need to upgrade the skilled players on the outside and continue to put together a better group of guys out there to help a young quarterback. Translation, the Browns don't have enough talent around Shedeur. The receivers aren't good enough. The offensive line is a disaster. The defense isn't holding up its end of the bargain. And then Warner brings up the comparison to other young quarterbacks right now, not in first years, but second years. Caleb Williams, he's shown some moments, but he's been a bit up and down this year. But they're winning games. Why? Because their defense is great. They're running the football really well. Look at Bo Nix, same thing. He's had some ups and downs, and he's done some really good things and had some good games, but there's been other times where he's struggled, and they've been able to win because they got a great defense and a good run game. Warner is spelling it out. When you have a good organization around a young quarterback, they can struggle and the team still wins. But when you have a bad organization that puts everything on the rookie's plate, that's when guys get swallowed up and spit out. Listen to this. When you don't have that, and more is laid on these young guys' plate, that's a hard place to succeed in the early stages of your career, and it's why a lot of these guys can get swallowed up and get spit out, because they've been asked to do too much, and we put too much pressure on them in the early stages. Kurt Warner just described exactly what's happening to Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland. But wait, it gets worse, because we haven't even talked about the wristband scandal yet. At the beginning of yesterday's game, the broadcast came on and told everyone that Shedeur had the wrong play sheet in his wristband. They had to stop, get it corrected, get it fixed, and then they could get going. The interviewer asks Warner, how does something like that even happen?
Who's to blame for something like that? And Warner's response is absolute classic. I don't know the answer to who's to blame. Obviously, it wouldn't be a fun situation if they're giving you plays and you're calling plays that, I don't know what, from last week's game plan or last week's wristband. I don't know what that is. So yeah, I don't know how that happens. But again, mistakes happen all the time, and we've seen those things happen numerous times. But yeah, that's a pretty crazy situation that they haven't, because a lot of times you have guys that do that part of it, and then they put in the wristband and they go verify it with the call sheet and, crossing T's and dotting I's in that situation. So I don't know who was responsible for that in that situation. But yeah, it wouldn't be a fun place to be as a quarterback for sure. Let me break down what Warner just said without saying it directly. The Browns coaching staff failed to do their job. There are people whose entire job is to make sure the wristband has the correct plays. They verify it, they cross-check it, they make sure the quarterback has what he needs to succeed. And somehow, some way, Kevin Stefanski's coaching staff sent Shedeur Sanders onto the field with the wrong play sheet in his wristband. Now, let's put this all together. Shedeur Sanders is a rookie quarterback trying to learn an NFL offense. He's dealing with an offensive line that has 4 backup or third-string guys protecting him. He's got receivers dropping passes. The defense is giving up points left and right. The special teams are so bad that the Browns' average starting field position is the 15-yard line. And on top of all that, the coaching staff sends him out there with the wrong play sheet in his wristband. Kurt Warner is too classy to come out and directly say Kevin Stefanski is failing Shedeur Sanders, but he doesn't have to, because everything Warner said in this interview points to one undeniable truth. The Browns organization is setting Shedeur Sanders to fail. And here's the crazy part. Even despite all that chaos, despite all of those organizational failures, Shedeur has still shown flashes. Warner even admitted it. I think you've seen some good things. I think you've seen some moments. I think you've seen some really good throws along the way. So I think there's got to be some optimism that he's shown you something that you feel like, okay, we've got to explore this more and see who he can be at this level. So let me ask you this. If Shedeur Sanders is showing good things and moments and really good throws, despite playing behind a patchwork offensive line, despite having receivers who can't catch the ball, despite starting drives at the 15-yard line, despite having the wrong plays in his wristband at the start of the game, what could this kid do if he had an actual competent organization around him? Kurt Warner didn't have to throw Kevin Stefanski under the bus directly. He's too smart for that. Too professional, but he painted the picture perfectly. When a rookie quarterback struggles, you don't just blame the kid. You look at the environment. You look at whether the coaching staff is preparing him. You look at whether the organization is giving him the tools to succeed. And right now, in Cleveland, the answer is clear. They're not. Shedeur Sanders deserves better than this. He deserves an offensive line that can protect him. He deserves receivers who can catch the ball. He deserves a coaching staff that doesn't send him out there with the wrong plays in his wristband. Kurt Warner knows it. The fans know it. And deep down, I think Kevin Stefanski knows it too. The question is, what are the Browns going to do about it? So here's my question for you. After hearing Kurt Warner break down everything that went wrong yesterday, the wristband disaster, the lack of weapons around Shedeur, the organizational failures from top to bottom, do you think Shedeur Sanders is being set up to fail in Cleveland? Or is this just part of the growing pains every rookie quarterback goes through? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you think Shedeur deserves better than what the Browns are giving him right now, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe because we're covering every step of Shedeur's journey. And trust me, this story is just getting started.